Welcome to another episode of ZZ Talk with Zeus
and Zino.
This is a podcast of two gentlemen who have high opinions on everything and anything. And today we're going to talk, of course, on sports, entertainment, and a heavy dose of politics. So real quickly, Zino, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I've been wearing a lot of light color stuff for recordings lately, but I kind of like this black polo that my brother bought me. One of the few things I appreciated from him. So I decided to wear that tonight.
I do want to real quickly make a mention. To me, like the that white shirt that you wore, I think like on episode 3 or 4, man, that thing made you look so bright.
the light was like bouncing off of it and stuff.
Yeah, it was like you looked like an angel. Okay.
Thank you. I like giving off that aura.
Start singing Beauty School Dropout.
Man, I mean, look, I think on our 100th episode, we're gonna have a compilation of all the time Zeus decided to bust out into song.
Bust out in song. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta bust out in singing, man. Just be happy I'm not stucking out the spirit fingers, you know. So anyways, on today's agenda, we're gonna dive straight into sports. Our top 5 will be in relations to the news that the Atlanta Falcons have decided to fire and depart from the services of Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn. So our top 5 is going to be in relations to top 5 things that we expect from the Falcons in the upcoming future. We're also going to talk quickly about the Braves and the Dodgers are currently in the playoffs. What is it called? It's called the NL.
So it's the championship series. So it's the NLCS and the ALCS, National League and American League.
All right, and so the Atlanta Braves are currently in the national one, right?
Mm-hmm.
LeBron wins his 4th ring with his 3rd team. That's also going to be something we'll talk about. And in entertainment news, Ice Cube is getting a lot of flack because I wouldn't say he's sided with Trump, but he has agreed to work with Trump. And we'll explain a little bit further what that means. And then in our politics, we're going to talk about some debate stuff, some early voting in some states. And we're just going to dive into those topics. So anyways, we're going to do a quick recap. Do we have any corrections, Zino?
No. Only because I didn't watch the previous episode.
Well, I have one clarification. I did mention something about Matt LaFleur, right? And it's perfect because we're going straight into sports. So I did say something about, I didn't finish my thought. I said in regards to, I think it was Dan Quinn not hiring Matt LaFleur to be our offensive coordinator. And I didn't finish my thought. My thought was going to be the reason he didn't get Matt LaFleur was because, and this is of course in relations to the inconsistency to their idea of having consistency. Because that's the one thing that they were saying, that they wanted to be consistent. They wanted to have a continuity. And so it didn't make sense that you didn't hire, or I guess it made sense in their mind that they didn't hire Matt LaFleur because everyone knew Matt LaFleur was probably going to be a head coach within the next 2 years, which he did.
Matt LaFleur, and my history of the Falcons is a little shaky. Matt LaFleur was the assistant offensive coordinator?
He was like the linebackers. He was an assistant coach to.
But during that Super Bowl year,
other coaches, and then people were saying, why didn't we promote him to offensive coordinator after Shanahan left? I think he went to the Titans, if I'm not mistaken. So Matt LaFleur went to the Titans and became their offensive coordinator, and then from there he joined the Green Bay Packers. And then I just never finished my thought where I was wanted to say that one of the reasons why Dan Quinn didn't hire him as the offensive coordinator is because they were going with this whole idea of having consistency and having the ability to have the same coach us on offense, like McDaniels, because obviously they have this whole Patriots way mentality that they just can't they can't duplicate it. Yeah, they want to, but they can't duplicate it. So anyway, so that was basically the clarification, is that the reason why Dan Quinn didn't hire him was because they were going on this whole idea of, we need to bring somebody in who can be here for a very, very long time. Matt LaFleur is not going to be here for a very, very long time. He's going to go and become an offensive coordinator somewhere else, a head coach somewhere else. And then they hired Sarkisian and then fired him after 2 years. So it was just like, it's just lack of consistency.
All right. Before we jump into the top 5, I don't know if you heard, but I got an ESPN notification. It was breaking news that what's his name? Le'Veon Bell just signed it. Is reported to be choosing the Chiefs to sign him. Yeah. So Le'Veon Bell got cut yesterday. Or was it 2 days ago? Well, recently.
He got cut to. It was yesterday.
Yesterday, okay. And now he's going to sign with the Chiefs.
Oh, that's funny. You know what that is? That's also an FU to the Jets.
Why is that?
You go to their rival?
Oh, okay, yeah. No, Chiefs. Chiefs aren't really their rival. Different division.
They're in the same division.
No, Jets are in the I almost said American League in the
Chiefs.
AFC
I'm sorry,
East.
I'm thinking Bills. My bad. I'm thinking Bills.
Yeah, Chiefs.
Oh, then never mind. No, that's just the FU. I want to get a championship. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to the best team in the league. So yeah, that happened. All right, you want to jump into it?
Yeah, but real quickly, remember, we just do want to do a quick condolences. So one of the Falcons beat writers, Von McClure, he actually just recently passed away. We just heard that he passed away at 48. We don't really know how he passed away, but considering the fact that we hear a lot, I'm sure you've read a lot of his articles. I've read a lot of his articles. He always made me laugh on TV because you could tell that he's not comfortable being on television. So yeah, his awkwardness just always made me laugh. But he was a great beat writer for the Atlanta Falcons. He was a huge fan of the Falcons. And then he's passed away at the age of 48. So our condolences go out to his family.
Yeah, everything Zeus said was spot on. We just found out an hour ago. So yeah, I thought it'd be right to pay respects. All right.
So in relation to the Falcons, Falcons have fired Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn.
Thomas Dimitroff obviously is the GM. Dan Quinn's the head coach.
Thomas Dimitroff is the general manager. He was the general manager since 2008. He is the one that drafted Matt Ryan. He's the one that did those trades to bring in Julio Jones. He surprised a lot of people when he hired Mike Smith. I can't recall who they were thinking that he was going to hire, but Mike Smith ended up being the guy. And then, of course, he had instant success with the Falcons. He led us to 5 straight winning seasons. The first time that the Falcons had ever had back-to-back winning seasons in their entire existence was the first 2 years with Thomas Dimitroff and his team that he created. So one of the biggest faults of his though was the fact that he, despite drafting Julio Jones and Grady Jarrett and Debo Jones recently, and Matt Ryan he wasn't that great at drafting people. Or at least a lot of people didn't feel that he was good at drafting people, specifically defense. So, he brings in DQ in 2005. DQ has good success with us too, right away. I mean, the first season was 8-8, but then the next year in 2016 leads us to the Super Bowl under, unfortunately we know what happened in the Super Bowl, 28-3. But then, this is one thing I've spoken on a bit before is I don't like the whole people saying that they haven't been the same since the Super Bowl because
I think that's people putting too much importance on certain things. I feel like Atlanta fans tend to do that a lot, but I'll go into that after you finish talking about.
Yeah, because I was gonna say is he was also the first coach. He was the only coach in 2017
to get back to the playoffs
and the NFC. Mm-hmm. And then not only that, but he helped guide Matt Ryan to his first road playoff win against the Los Angeles Rams, and then we were one play away from going back to the NFC Championship, but it just didn't happen. So, anyways, he was let go. His overall career with us was 43-42. So he left with a winning record, So maybe that's something that he can hold his head on. And I don't know if you got a chance to read his goodbye letter to the Falcons.
Yeah. I was going to talk about a couple of things there. Okay. So let's start with the goodbye letter. So Zeus and I are in this Facebook group. I think it's called the Atlanta Falcons Bird Gang
or something like that. Atlanta Bird Gang, maybe?
Yeah. A group of Falcons fans, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, like all Facebook groups, that can be pretty toxic sometimes. And there was a lot of bad ill will towards Dan Quinn, as we went 0-1, 0-2, and it just kept going. And then people say things, things off the cuff. They're like, "Look, man, it's the game. You can dislike what the person is doing, but you don't have to go after them personally." And sorry, so what I was gonna say is, Dan Quinn obviously got fired from his head coaching position, and then a couple of days later, he wrote a letter to the city of Atlanta and to the fans, and it's just another example of him being a class act, because that's something that we've always known, right? We might not think that he's the right man for the job, considering that I don't think the team has that killer instinct that they need to. We're on the wrong side of history multiple times. Dubious records of letting teams back in. And that's because of that lack of killer instinct. But one thing that should never have been in doubt is, his ability as a human being and being a classy person, and that letter showed it. So I read it. I appreciated it as a fan.
I appreciate it. Like you said, that sometimes people there was just this whole, it was very toxic, where people were just basically like, I'm like, one, first of all, you're not paying him, so stop acting like you are. And then two, he's not a horrible person. He just wasn't that great of a head coach. I say great of a head coach because he's still going to be he's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he's sitting in Seattle's sideline next week, just because Pete Carroll, that's his friend or whatever. But he'll be a defensive coordinator again next year. Just, you can't go from being a head coach and not get a coordinator position right after it. Look at Jason Garrett, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I would doubt it if he would go and become like the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, or you know what I mean? Like, and if he does, it's not something to be vicious. It's just something that just happens to happen. But hey, he'll be a defensive coordinator somewhere else. I don't think you think he'll be a head coach again.
Yeah, I think it'll take some time, but yeah,
like
maybe
he's still young, right? So maybe like in 5, 10, 8 years, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say 5. I'd give him 5 years. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, he did take a team to the Super Bowl. And to touch on Dimitroff real quick, I wouldn't say I was shocked by his firing. I wasn't expecting it.
I wasn't expecting it in season.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Dimitroff to be fired, and you mentioned all of his records, or all of the things that he oversaw as GM since 2008 with the drafting of Ryan and Julio Jones. One thing he did mention, which is important, he took the Falcons to 2 conference championships as GM.
2 number 1 seeds too.
Yeah, the conference championships were in 2012, where we lost against Niners, and the final game of the Georgia Dome in 2017, January 2016. No. Yeah, the season was 2016, but it's January 2017. Season. So the final game of the Georgia Dome, where we shellacked the Packers. So he does have his he has that legacy, and he can hang his head high on that. But yeah, I think it was time for a change. Yeah. And kudos to Arthur Blank, because I have a feeling that wasn't easy for him to do. It seems like.
No, I honestly was, like you said, I was sort of completely surprised, because honestly, what I thought was going to happen was, at the end of the year, they were just going to relieve him of general manager duties, or he was going to step away from the general manager duties and go do football operations. You know how a lot of times they do that. I really was shocked that he fired him, but I kind of feel like it was one of those things where Arthur Blank was just looking at it like, I can't excuse Dan Quinn staying here, but at the same time, you know what? Maybe it's time for a complete overhaul.
Yeah.
And that's why. So should we just go straight into our so I should start the 5?
Yeah, I think we've actually done enough in this video to have this be its own clip.
Well, there you go.
Have the top 5 be its own thing.
Stay tuned for the next clip, which will be the top 5. So anyways, so the top 5 is not an actual 5. This isn't like top 5 things that I want ranked in order, right? So it's just basically what we're going to talk about is 5 things that we could see that are going to happen with the Falcons in season and post this season, right?
5 things to expect.
Basically. 5 things to expect, 5 predictions possibly. So the first one that we're going to mention is, or at least I expect, I don't know, you can tell me, how many wins do you expect Raheem Morris to get out of the next 11? Is it 11 games that we're going to be playing?
I could see 5.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Go 5. So they'll end the season 5-11.
Okay, I could see 5. I could see 6. And then my prediction is actually I think the next two out of the next 3 games he's gonna win. He's gonna
Okay.
win those 2 out of the next 3 games. A good kind of example, or possibly a good thing that we could go off of, is the Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm.
They fire Bill O'Brien 4 weeks in. They win their 5th game.
Okay.
With the new the interim head coach, right? Because what ends up happening is the players love Dan Quinn. They won't lie. You can't lie the genuine enthusiasm that they had as him as a person.
Yeah.
But just because you love the guy, sometimes the energy that you got before playing for him
Mm-hmm.
was not. I stopped being there, right? You stop buying it. You stop buying into it, and no longer really. It just never. It never drove you enough.
So I do want to counter that a little.
Okay.
I do think, yeah, they could feasibly win out of the next 3. I want to counter that as a direct correlation with the Bill O'Brien situation. And you actually did touch on it just before I started speaking, which is the fact that the players had a genuine connection with Dan Quinn. Like you could see it, like to them he was like their friend and all that stuff. I kind of feel like that wasn't really the case, at least from what we're seeing as a national audience. That wasn't the case in Houston. I don't think they had that camaraderie with Bill O'Brien like that. So to them, honestly, it might have even spurred them on, like, oh, finally they got rid of that bum. Not like that, but whereas I don't think the players feel motivated in that same way with the Dan Quinn firing. However, what could help them is knowing that, look, Arthur Blank is at his wit's end, and he's ready to
knowing their futures aren't secure.
Exactly. And Matt Ryan had a line that's going through that toxic Facebook group we're talking about. That's like, oh, so this is your quarterback. He had a line saying that when talking about his future, like, something along the lines of, these locker rooms are rented, we don't own them. Saying that people people transition in and out. And I think the players understand that now, that if you don't perform at a high level, if you keep making stupid mistakes that lead to a loss for the team, for the franchise, you could be out the door.
Yeah.
No one is indispensable.
Look at last year. The Falcons weren't doing their job. So what they ended up doing? They ended up trading one of the most beloved wide receivers that they had, Sanu.
Mm-hmm.
Sanu was beloved. Sanu was beloved by the team. The fans loved him. He was a fan favorite because of it. He was kind of like, he had that attitude that a lot of us liked. Kind of like, he doesn't give a damn. He's very brash. He started talking a bunch of crap. I mean, have you ever heard him mic'd up during the Green Bay game or the Seattle game in the playoffs?
Yeah. So Sanu was basically, it was that kind of player that he's not the star of the team necessarily, but he's the one that makes everyone a little happier, smile a little more.
Yeah, because the cockiness can rub off,
Yeah, but it wasn't like a malicious cockiness. Like, we've seen malicious cockiness from like a Terrell Owens, or that's not what Sanu was.
No.
It was a playful type of guy.
But it might not have been playful to the people on the other side, but it was just the whole, you're feeling yourself at that time, you just go and and then that kind of just starts rubbing off, because you know what, Julio Jones doesn't have that, because Julio Jones is just that silent confidence that he has. He's just confident. He's like, I know I'm the GOAT, so I don't have to, what is it? Greatness doesn't have to talk about itself, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like Julio is more of a Michael Jordan, whereas who's another person? No, not Michael Jordan, like the greatest of all time. I mean, demeanor wise, where Michael Jordan never. I mean, he was more like, I knew. He knew he was stuff, but he wasn't the. There's another basketball I'm thinking of that was more like in your face and kind of like funny with it. Allen Iverson. It's kind of like that. Like he knew he had skills, but he was more in your face with it. It's like playful about it, and then like he'll like joke with his opponents and all that stuff. Jordan was like I know I'm the greatest, so I'm not gonna.
Some might disagree.
Who might disagree?
Some might disagree. Some might say that Michael Jordan was a little bit cocky too, but hey, if you're that great, you're allowed to be.
He was cocky, but not in
you just mean he wasn't loud.
He wasn't loud. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And Julio is not loud, but I don't think Julio is cocky either. So maybe not. Maybe Jordan wasn't the best.
He's a very humble guy, and then he's just the thing that cracked me up was when he was playing against Ramsey, when Ramsey got drafted to the when he got traded to the Rams.
Jalen Ramsey.
Okay. Yeah, was it Jalen Ramsey? Yeah, he's the cornerback, right?
Is he a corner? Yeah.
And he was talking so much crap to Julio Jones, and then Julio Jones wasn't even reacting, and you could tell that probably pissed him off, even though we were losing the game. But Julio Jones just doesn't respond because he's like, why am I going to respond to you? You know, like I gotta prove it, like by beating you on the field, and then I think he probably later on beat him in some play. But anyways, so yeah, that's our number. That's our first one, right? Our number one. Basically, we definitely expect some wins. Real quickly, do you think those wins will move us away heavily from the top 5 in the draft? Do you expect the Falcons?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think there are enough, as weird as it is to say, I think there are enough bad teams in the league that 5 wins will not get you in the top 5 in the draft. Enough teams will get less than 5 wins.
And I agree I completely agree with you there.